Admiral Kate Sullivan stood at the window of the Earth Defense Station. She watched the blue planet Earth spinning slowly below her. The year was 2387, and Kate had been protecting Earth for 20 years. She never thought she would see a day like this. The communication screen behind her buzzed with an urgent message. Kate turned around and saw her assistant, Lieutenant Sam Parker, running toward her. "Admiral, we have a priority message from deep space," Sam said. His face was pale and worried. "It's from the Galactic Empire." Kate felt her heart skip a beat. The Galactic Empire was the most powerful force in the galaxy. They controlled thousands of star systems and had millions of warships. Earth was just one small planet with a tiny fleet of 200 ships. "Put it on the main screen," Kate ordered. The screen lit up with the image of a tall alien in a golden uniform. His skin was gray, and his eyes were cold and dark. The symbol of the Galactic Empire glowed on his chest. "Greetings, primitive world." "Called Earth," the alien said in a voice that sounded like metal scraping against stone. "I am Admiral Zex of the 5th Imperial Fleet. I speak for His Imperial Majesty, Emperor Maximilian the Great." Kate stood straight and faced the screen. She had never spoken to anyone from the Empire before, but she knew this was not a social call. "I am Admiral Kate Sullivan of the Earth Defense Force," she replied. "What does the Empire want with Earth?" Admiral Zex smiled, but it was not a friendly smile. "The Empire requires passage through your solar system. We are fighting rebels in the Outer Rim, and we need to move our fleet through your space to reach them quickly." Kate's mind raced. She knew about the war between the Empire and the rebel colonies. The rebels were fighting for their freedom, while the Empire wanted to crush them completely. "How many ships are we talking about?" Kate asked. 10,000. "Warships, including battlecruisers and planet destroyers," Zex replied casually, as if he was talking about the weather. "The fleet will pass through your system in 2 weeks. You will clear all your ships from the hyperspace routes and provide fuel and supplies." Kate felt the blood drain from her face. 10,000 ships. That was 50 times larger than Earth's entire fleet. Each of those ships could probably destroy an Earth vessel with one shot. "This is not a request," Zex continued. "This is an order from the Emperor himself. Comply, and your world will be left alone. Refuse and face administrative correction." The screen went dark. Kate stood in silence for a moment, trying to process what she had just heard. Administrative correction was the Empire's term for destroying a planet and everyone on it. "Get me Commander Jake Bennett," Kate said to Sam, "and call an emergency meeting of the United Earth Council." Within an hour, Kate was sitting in the council chamber with the leaders of Earth. President Lisa Carter sat at the head of the table, her face serious and worried. Around the table sat representatives from every nation and colony on Earth. Commander Jake Bennett stood at the front of the room with a holographic display showing the galaxy. He was Earth's best expert on alien politics and had studied the Empire for years. "The situation is simple," Jake said. "The Empire is fighting a war against the rebel colonies in the Outer Rim. To win this war, they need to move their fleet quickly through our solar system. Our system has the only stable hyperspace route in this part of the galaxy. What happens if we say no?" asked President Carter. "They will destroy us," Jake replied without hesitation. "The Empire has never been refused before. They have destroyed entire civilizations for less than this." Council member Robert Hayes raised his hand. "What about the rebels? Can they help us?" "The rebels are fighting for their own survival," Jake explained. "They have their own problems. We cannot count on help from anyone." The room fell silent. Everyone understood the situation. Earth was alone, and the Empire was coming whether they liked it or not. "There is one thing the Empire might not know," Kate said slowly. We control the only hyperspace route through this sector. Without our route, they would have to go around 3 star systems. That would add months to their campaign. Are you suggesting we refuse? Asked President Carter. I am suggesting we have something they need, Kate replied. That gives us some power in this situation. Power? Council member Susan Lee laughed bitterly. They have 10,000 ships. We have 200. That's not power. That's suicide. Kate stood up and walked to the display. She pointed to the solar system map. Look at this. Earth is not just a planet. We are a fortress. We have been building defenses for 100 years. The map showed the defensive installations throughout the solar system. Battle stations orbited every planet. Weapon platforms floated in the asteroid belt. Hidden missile bases were scattered on dozens of moons. The Empire thinks we are just another primitive world, Kate continued. They don't know about our defenses. They don't know about our technology. They don't know about our determination. You're talking about war with the most powerful empire in the galaxy, President Carter said quietly. I'm talking about standing up for ourselves, Kate replied. The Empire wants to use our home as a highway for their war machine. They want to turn our peaceful system into a military zone. Are we going to let them? The debate went on for hours. Some council members wanted to surrender immediately. Others wanted to fight. Most were simply afraid. Finally, President Carter called for a vote. The room was silent as each member cast their decision. When the votes were counted, the result was clear. The United Earth Council has made its decision, President Carter announced. We will not grant passage to the Imperial fleet. Earth says no. Kate felt a mixture of pride and terror. Earth had just defied the most powerful empire in the galaxy. There was no going back now. As the council members filed out of the room, Kate looked at the star map one more time. Somewhere out there, 10,000 Imperial warships were preparing to come to Earth. The Empire had never been told no before. They were about to learn what happened when they tried to pass through Earth's space without permission. The war was coming, and Earth would be ready. 3 days after Earth's refusal, a massive Imperial ship appeared at the edge of the solar system. The ship was 10 times larger than anything Earth had ever built. Its hull was black as space, and weapons covered every surface. Admiral Kate. Sullivan watched the ship approach from the Earth Defense Station. Her hands were sweating as she gripped the rail. She had never seen anything so terrifying and beautiful at the same time. Admiral, we're receiving a transmission from the Imperial ship, reported Lieutenant Sam Barker. They're requesting permission to dock at Ceres Base. Ceres Base was the largest space station in the asteroid belt. It was built for mining operations, but now it would serve as a meeting place between Earth and the Empire. Grant them permission, Kate ordered, and get Captain Amy Rodriguez ready. She's going to lead our negotiation team. Captain Amy Rodriguez was Earth's best diplomat. She had spent years studying alien cultures and languages. If anyone could negotiate with the Empire, it was her. 2 hours later, Amy stood in the docking bay of Ceres Base. She wore her dress uniform and carried a briefcase with Earth's proposals. Behind her stood 6 other Earth officials, all trying to look calm and confident. The Imperial ship's docking tube connected to the station with a loud clang. The airlock opened, and fog rolled out like something from a horror movie. The first figure to emerge was tall and elegant. He wore a white uniform covered in gold decorations. His skin was pale blue, and his eyes glowed with an inner light. Behind him came 6 Imperial guards in black armor. I am Ambassador Rex Morrison of the Galactic Empire, the figure said in perfect English. I have come to discuss your world's cooperation with Imperial requirements. Amy stepped forward and extended her hand. I am Captain Amy Rodriguez, representing the United Earth Council. Welcome to Ceres Base. Rex looked at her hand for a moment and ignored it completely. Let us proceed to the meeting chamber. The Emperor's time is valuable. The meeting room was simple and functional. A metal table sat in the center, with chairs on both sides. Amy sat across from Rex, while their assistants arranged documents and recording equipment. Before we begin, Rex said, I must express the Emperor's disappointment with your initial response. No world has ever refused an Imperial request. This is highly unusual. Earth is not like other worlds, Amy replied calmly. We make our own decisions. Rex smiled, but his eyes remained cold. Every world thinks it is special. Every world believes it can stand alone. They all learn the same lesson in the end. He gestured to one of his assistants, who placed a small device on the table. The device projected a holographic image of a planet. This is the world of Kepler 442b, Rex explained. They refused Imperial passage rights 70 years ago. They believed their technology and determination would save them. The image showed a beautiful blue and green world with 2 moons. Cities glowed on the night side, and ships moved between orbital stations. They had a fleet of 500 ships, Rex continued. They had defensive platforms and hidden weapons. They had courage and unity. The image changed. Now the planet was gray and lifeless. The cities were dark. The orbital stations were twisted metal floating in space. It took the Empire 6 hours to reduce their civilization to ash, Rex said quietly. 6 hours to end 3,000 years of history. Their courage meant nothing. Their unity meant nothing. Their technology meant nothing. Amy felt sick looking at the dead world, but she kept her face calm. Why are you showing me this? Because Earth has 200 ships, Rex replied. Kepler 442b had 500. The mathematics are simple. Amy reached into her briefcase and pulled out a data pad. We've prepared a counter-proposal. Earth will allow Imperial passage under the following conditions. Rex raised an eyebrow. Conditions? First, the Empire will pay standard transit fees for commercial use of the hyperspace route. Second, all Imperial ships will submit to inspection for weapons of mass destruction. Third, the Empire will sign an environmental protection agreement for the Sol system. Rex stared at Amy in complete silence. His assistants looked shocked. Even the guards shifted uncomfortably. You are serious, Rex said finally. Completely serious, Amy replied. Earth is not asking for charity. We are offering a business arrangement. Between equals, Rex began to laugh. It was a cold, mechanical sound that echoed through the room. Equals? You think Earth is equal to the Galactic Empire? In this negotiation, yes, Amy said. You need our hyperspace route. We control it. That makes us partners, not subjects. Rex's laughter stopped abruptly. Let me explain something to you, Captain Rodriguez. The Empire has ruled this galaxy for 3,000 years. We have conquered 10,000 worlds. We have destroyed entire star systems that opposed us. He leaned forward across the table. Your world has existed in space for less than 100 years. You have never fought a real war. You have never seen what Imperial power can do when it is unleashed. You're right, Amy admitted. Earth is young. We haven't conquered anyone. We haven't destroyed any worlds. But we've learned something in our short time among the stars. What is that? Rex asked. We've learned that bullies always underestimate the people they tried to push around, Amy replied. You think Earth is weak because we're small. You think we're helpless because we haven't conquered anyone. But you're wrong. Amy activated her own holographic display. It showed the Sol system in detail, with every planet, moon, and asteroid belt clearly marked. This is our home, Amy said. We've had 100 years to prepare for this day. Every asteroid has been surveyed. Every moon has been fortified. Every planet has defensive systems you can't imagine. The display zoomed in on Mars, showing massive underground factories. Then it shifted to the asteroid belt, revealing hidden weapons platforms. Finally, it showed Earth itself, surrounded by orbital defense rings. The Empire has never fought a defensive war, Amy continued. You've always been the attacker. You've always had the advantage of surprise. But this time, you're walking into our territory, our system, our home. Rex studied the display carefully. Impressive preparations. But 10,000 Imperial ships can overwhelm any defense. Maybe, Amy agreed. But how many ships are you willing to lose? How many months can you afford to delay your campaign against the rebels? How much will victory cost you? Rex was quiet for a long moment. Amy could see him calculating the costs and benefits in his mind. You are asking the Empire to treat Earth as an equal, he said finally. This has never happened before. Then, this is a historic day, Amy replied. The day the Empire learned that some worlds cannot be conquered, only negotiated with. Rex stood up abruptly. I need to consult with my superiors. These negotiations are temporarily suspended. As the Imperial delegation filed out of the room, Amy felt both proud and terrified. She had just told the representative of the most powerful empire in the galaxy that Earth would not surrender. Now she could only hope that Earth's defenses were as strong as she had claimed. Because if they weren't, the Empire would make Earth look like that dead world Rex had shown her. The negotiations had failed. War was coming to the Sol system. 1 week after the failed negotiations, Earth's long-range sensors detected something that made everyone's blood run cold. 500 Imperial warships were approaching the solar system in battle formation. Admiral Kate Sullivan stood in the Tommy, command center of the Earth Defense Station. The main screen showed the approaching Imperial fleet as red dots moving steadily toward Earth's outer defenses. They're not trying to hide, observed Commander Jake Bennett, who stood beside Kate. They want us to see them coming. It's a demonstration, Kate replied grimly. They want to show us what happens when you say no to the Empire. The Imperial fleet was led by a massive battleship called the Iron Fist, intelligence reports said. It was commanded by General Victor Cross, one of the Empire's most experienced military leaders. He had conquered 47 worlds and never lost a battle. Admiral, we're receiving a transmission from the Imperial fleet, reported Lieutenant Sam Parker. Put it on screen, Kate ordered. The screen filled with the image of General Cross. He was a huge man with scars covering his face and arms. His uniform was plain black with silver rank insignia. People of Earth, General Cross began, his voice deep and commanding. I am General Victor Cross of the 5th Imperial Fleet. I have come to demonstrate the futility of resistance. Kate stepped forward. This is Admiral Kate Sullivan of the Earth Defense Force. You are entering Earth space without permission. Turn back now or face the consequences. General Cross laughed. Consequences? Little Admiral, I have 500 of the Empire's finest warships. You have 200 primitive vessels. What consequences can you possibly threaten me with? You're about to find out, Kate replied. Then cut the transmission. Kate turned to her communications officer. Send the signal to all Earth forces. Operation Hornet's Nest is now active. Throughout the solar system, Earth's defenses came alive. On Mars, underground launch bays opened and released swarms of robotic fighters. In the asteroid belt, camouflaged weapons platforms powered up their railguns. Around Earth itself, orbital defense stations prepared their most powerful weapons. General Cross's fleet reached the outer edge of the solar system and began advancing toward Earth. The Imperial ships moved in perfect formation, their weapons charging for battle. Admiral, should we move our fleet to intercept? asked Commander Bennett. "No," Kate replied. "Let them come to us. We fight this battle on our terms, not theirs." The first contact came at the asteroid belt. Imperial scouts entered the belt expecting to find only floating rocks. Instead, they found Lieutenant Commander Dan Parker and his squadron of Earth fighters hiding among the asteroids. Dan was 25 years old and had been flying fighters for 6 years. He had trained for this moment his entire adult life. As the Imperial scouts approached, he activated his squadron's new stealth systems. "Ghost Squadron, this is Ghost Leader," Dan said over the radio. "Weapons free. Show them what Earth fighters can do." The Earth fighters appeared out of nowhere, their weapons blazing. The Imperial scouts were caught completely off guard. Within minutes, 12 Imperial ships were destroyed without the Earth fighters losing a single vessel. How is that possible? General Cross demanded from his command ship. "Our scouts had the latest sensors and weapons." "Sir," replied his tactical officer, "the Earth fighters are using some kind of phase shift technology. They can become invisible to our sensors for short periods." General Cross frowned. The Empire's intelligence reports had said Earth was technologically primitive. This was not primitive technology. "Send in the destroyers," he ordered. Clear. The asteroid belt. 20 Imperial destroyers advanced into the belt, their weapons ready to eliminate any threats. But as they moved deeper into the asteroid field, hidden weapons platforms began to activate. The platforms had been built inside hollowed-out asteroids over the past 50 years. From the outside, they looked like ordinary space rocks. But inside, they contained the most powerful railguns Earth had ever built. The railguns fired solid metal projectiles at incredible speeds. The projectiles hit the Imperial destroyers with the force of nuclear weapons. The destroyers' shields, designed to stop energy weapons, provided no protection against physical impacts. 3 destroyers were destroyed in the first salvo. The remaining ships tried to retreat, but more platforms opened fire from different directions. The Imperial ships found themselves in a deadly crossfire. "We're taking heavy losses," reported General Cross's tactical officer. "The asteroids are armed. The entire belt is a weapons platform." General Cross studied the tactical display. Red indicators showed where his ships were being destroyed. He was losing vessels faster than he could count them. "Pull back to safe distance," he ordered, "and get me a full analysis of their defensive systems." The Imperial fleet withdrew to the edge of the solar system. General Cross looked at his loss reports and felt something he had never experienced before: doubt. "Sir," said his intelligence officer, "we've underestimated Earth's capabilities. They've turned their entire star system into a fortress." "How? Many ships did we lose?" General Cross asked. 47 destroyed, 31 damaged, came the reply. "And we haven't even reached their main fleet yet." General Cross had expected to lose maybe 5 ships in the entire demonstration. Instead, he had lost almost a sixth of his fleet in the first engagement. "What about their losses?" he asked. "Minimal. Maybe a dozen fighters and 2 escort ships. Their main fleet hasn't even engaged us yet." General Cross stared at the tactical display. The Earth fleet was still holding position near Mars, waiting for him to make the next move. Their defensive platforms were still active throughout the system. "Sir," said his communications officer, "we're receiving a message from Earth." "Put it through," General Cross ordered. Admiral Kate Sullivan appeared on the screen. She looked calm and confident, not like someone whose world was under attack. "General Cross," she said, "you came here to demonstrate the futility of resistance. Instead, you've demonstrated the futility of underestimating Earth. We're willing to let you withdraw with the ships you have left. This is not over," General Cross replied angrily. "You may have won this skirmish, but the Empire has resources you cannot imagine. "Then you better bring more ships next time," Kate replied, "because these weren't even our best defenses." General Cross cut the transmission and turned to his staff. "Prepare the fleet for withdrawal. We are returning to Imperial space." As the Imperial fleet retreated, Kate allowed herself a small smile. Earth had won its first battle against the Empire. But she knew this was just the beginning. Word of the defeat would spread throughout the galaxy. The Empire would not let this insult go unanswered. They would return with more ships, better weapons, and a determination to crush Earth completely. But for now, Earth had proven something important. The Empire could be beaten. They weren't invincible. They could bleed. The galaxy was watching. And Earth had sent a message that would echo through the stars. Some worlds would not submit, no matter how powerful their enemies. The war was just beginning. News of Earth's victory spread across the galaxy faster than anyone expected. On the rebel world of New Cascadia, freedom fighter Helen Brooks watched the battle reports with growing excitement. "Did you see this?" Helen called to her fellow rebels. "Earth destroyed 50 Imperial ships. They made the Empire retreat." The rebels gathered around the holographic display in their hidden base. They had been fighting the Empire for 5 years, winning small victories, but never anything like this. "If Earth can do it, so can we," said Rebel Commander Tom Wilson. "The Empire isn't invincible after all." But while the rebels celebrated, Emperor Maximilian sat in his throne room on the Imperial capital world, consumed with rage. No one had ever humiliated the Empire like this before. 500 ships, the Emperor said slowly, his voice deadly quiet. General Cross took 500 ships against 200 primitive vessels, and he retreated with his tail between his legs. "Your Majesty," said Imperial Admiral Vincent Cross, "the general's brother, Earth's defenses were much stronger than our intelligence predicted. They have technology we don't understand." "Then we underestimated them," the Emperor replied. "That mistake will not be repeated. Admiral Cross, you will take the Third Imperial Fleet to Earth. 5,000 ships should be sufficient to crush this rebellious world." Admiral Vincent Cross bowed deeply. "It will be done, Your Majesty. Earth will burn." Meanwhile, on Earth, everyone knew the Empire would return with overwhelming force. The victory had bought them time, but not much. Engineer Bill Stone worked 18-hour days in the orbital factories around Mars. His job was to build as many weapons and ships as possible before the Empire returned. "We need more railgun platforms," Bill told his team, "and more stealth fighters. The Empire won't fall for the same tricks twice." Dr. Carol White, Earth's chief scientist, was working on something even more important. She had been studying the wreckage of Imperial ships destroyed in the first battle. "Their hyperspace drives have a critical weakness," Carol explained to Admiral Kate Sullivan. "If we can generate the right kind of quantum interference, we can trap their entire fleet in normal space." "Trap them how?" Kate asked. "Prevent them from jumping to hyperspace," Carol replied. "No retreat, no reinforcements, no escape. They would be stuck here until the battle is over." Kate realized the implications immediately. "If we can trap them, we can defeat them, but we need to be sure it works." "Give me 2 weeks," Carol said. "I'll have the interdiction field generators ready." Those 2 weeks passed quickly. Families said goodbye as civilians evacuated to the outer colonies. Young people like pilot Kevin Martinez joined the Defense Force, knowing they might never see home again. "Take care of yourself, Kevin," his sister Lucy said as she hugged him goodbye. "Come back safe." "I will," Kevin promised. "And when I do, the Empire will be gone forever." The Imperial Third Fleet arrived exactly 2 weeks later. 5,000 ships appeared at the edge of the solar system, led by Admiral Vincent Cross aboard the massive battleship Eternal Dominion. Admiral Kate Sullivan watched the approaching fleet from the command bridge of the UE Sephience, Earth's newest and most powerful battleship. The odds were 25-1 against Earth, but Kate felt strangely calm. "Admiral, we're receiving a transmission from the Imperial fleet," reported Lieutenant Sam Parker. "Put it on screen," Kate ordered. Admiral Vincent Cross appeared on the display. He looked exactly like his brother, but his eyes were colder and more calculating. "Admiral Sullivan," he said, "I am Admiral Vincent Cross. I have come to finish what my brother started. You embarrassed the Empire once. That will not happen again." "Admiral Cross," Kate replied, "you're making the same mistake your brother made. You think numbers are everything. You're wrong." 5,000 ships against 200, Cross said. "The mathematics are simple. Surrender now, and your people will be relocated to labor camps. Refuse, and they will be exterminated." "Earth's answer is the same as before," Kate said firmly. "Not allowed." Admiral Cross smiled coldly. "Then you have chosen extinction. The attack begins in 1 hour." The screen went dark. Kate turned to her communications officer. "Signal all units. Operation Final Stand begins now." Throughout the solar system, Earth's defenses prepared for the ultimate battle. The orbital factories had worked miracles in the past 2 weeks. Earth now had 300 ships instead of 200 and thousands of new weapons platforms. But the real surprise was hidden in the outer system. Secret shipyards had been building in the darkness beyond Pluto for decades. Now they released their secret, the Ghost Fleet. 300 stealth ships emerged from the shadows, invisible to Imperial sensors. They were commanded by Captain Amy Rodriguez, who had survived the failed negotiations and demanded to lead the final battle. "Ghost Fleet, this is Ghost Command," Amy said over the encrypted radio. "The Empire thinks they're fighting 300 ships. They're about to learn. They're fighting 600. The Imperial fleet began its advance, confident in their overwhelming numbers. Admiral Cross had learned from his brother's mistakes. He attacked from multiple directions, trying to overwhelm Earth's defenses through sheer force. The battle was brutal from the beginning. Imperial ships poured through the outer system, destroying everything in their path. The outer defense platforms fought bravely, but were eventually overwhelmed. Mars. Orbital stations held out for 3 hours before being destroyed. The asteroid belt became a graveyard of ships from both sides. It seemed like the Empire's superior. Numbers would eventually win. But then Dr. Carol White activated her secret weapon. Quantum interference generators, hidden throughout the solar system, came online simultaneously. "Interdiction field active," Carl reported from her command center. "The Imperial fleet is trapped in normal space." Admiral Cross realized what had happened when his ships tried to retreat and failed. "We can't jump to hyperspace. They've trapped us." "Sir," reported his tactical officer, "we're detecting massive energy signatures throughout the system." "It's some kind of quantum field," Cross understood immediately. Earth had turned the entire solar system into a prison. His fleet couldn't escape, and no reinforcements could reach them. "All ships attack Pattern Omega," Cross ordered. "We end this now." But as the Imperial fleet concentrated for their final assault, the Ghost Fleet struck. 300 stealth ships appeared behind. The Imperial lines, their weapons blazing. "Surprise!" Amy Rodriguez called over the radio as her ships tore into the Imperial formation. The Empire suddenly found themselves fighting on 2 fronts. Admiral Kate Sullivan led the main Earth fleet in a frontal assault, while Amy Rodriguez attacked from behind with the Ghost Fleet. The battle raged for hours. Ships exploded in brilliant flashes of light. Debris from destroyed vessels filled space. Heroes on both sides died fighting for their beliefs. But Earth's technology and determination began to tell. the quantum phase drives that had surprised. The Empire in the first battle were now standard on all Earth ships. Imperial weapons couldn't target what they couldn't see. "We're losing too many ships," Admiral Cross's tactical officer reported. "Our forces are being decimated." Cross looked at his tactical display. Half his fleet was gone, and Earth ships were still fighting with desperate courage. "Sir," his communications officer said, "we're receiving a transmission from the Earth." Fleet, Admiral Kate Sullivan, appeared on the screen. Her uniform was torn and dirty, but her eyes blazed with determination. "Admiral Cross," she said, "you came here to destroy Earth. Instead, you've destroyed your own fleet. I'm offering you one chance to surrender." "The Empire does not surrender," Cross replied proudly. "Then the Empire dies here today," Kate said. "Your choice." Cross looked around his command bridge. His officers were waiting for his decision. Outside, the battle continued to rage. For the first time in Imperial history, an admiral faced a choice he had never imagined: surrender or die. Fate of the galaxy hung in the balance. Admiral Vincent Cross stared at the tactical display on his command bridge. Red indicators showed the destruction of his once mighty fleet. Of the 5,000 ships he had brought to crush Earth, less than 2,000 remained operational. "Sir," his tactical officer reported, "we've lost the battle cruiser Devastator and the destroyer Squadron Gamma. The Earth ships are using some kind of new shield technology. Our weapons can't penetrate their defenses." Cross clenched his fists. The Empire had ruled the galaxy for 3,000 years. They had never lost a major battle. How could this primitive world be defeating them? "Admiral," his communications officer said, "Captain Rodriguez of the Earth Ghost Fleet is requesting our surrender." Cross almost laughed. "The Empire does not surrender to anyone." "Sir," his tactical officer said quietly, "we're trapped. We can't escape to hyperspace. We can't call for reinforcements. If we continue fighting, we'll all die here." Cross looked around his command bridge. His officers were brave, but he could see fear in their eyes. They had never faced defeat before. On Earth's flagship, the U's Defiance, Admiral Kate Sullivan coordinated the final phase of the battle. Her ship had taken heavy damage, but it was still fighting. "Admiral," reported Lieutenant Sam Parker, "the Ghost Fleet has destroyed the Imperial Command Squadron. Admiral Cross's ship is surrounded." Kate nodded grimly. The battle had cost Earth dearly. They had lost over 100 ships and thousands of brave people. But they had proven something important. The Empire could be beaten. "Admiral," Captain Amy Rodriguez called over the radio from her stealth ship, "the Imperial fleet is requesting negotiations." Kate felt a mixture of relief and satisfaction. "Patch me through to Admiral Cross." Admiral Cross appeared on the screen. His uniform was torn, and blood ran from a cut on his forehead, but his eyes still burned with Imperial pride. "Admiral Sullivan," he said, "I am authorized to discuss terms for a ceasefire." "The terms are simple," Kate replied. "Complete surrender. Your remaining ships will be disarmed and escorted out of the solar system. You will sign a non-aggression pact recognizing Earth's sovereignty." "Impossible," Cross said. "The Empire cannot sign treaties with primitive worlds." "Then you can die with your primitive pride," Kate said coldly, "because those are the only terms you're going to get." Cross was quiet for a long moment. Around him, his officers waited for his decision. Outside, the battle continued as Earth. Ships closed in on the remaining Imperial vessels. "Sir," his tactical officer said, "our casualty reports are complete. We've lost over 3,000 ships and 200,000 personnel." Cross felt the weight of all those deaths. He had led the finest fleet in the galaxy into a trap, and now they were all going to die unless he made an impossible choice. "Admiral Sullivan," he said finally, I need to speak with my Emperor before agreeing to any terms. Your communications are blocked by the interdiction field, Kate replied. You can't contact anyone outside the solar system. The decision is yours alone. Cross realized the full scope of Earth's victory. They had not only defeated his fleet, they had completely isolated him from the Empire. He was on his own. I need 1 hour to consider your terms, he said. You have 30 minutes, Kate replied. After that, we finish this battle. The screen went dark. Cross turned to his senior staff. Recommendations? Sir, said his tactical officer, if we surrender, we'll be the first Imperial fleet in history to lay down arms. The Emperor will consider us traitors. If we don't surrender, Cross replied, we'll be the first Imperial fleet in history to be completely destroyed. The Emperor will consider us failures. His intelligence officer spoke up. Sir, there's something else to consider. Word of this battle will spread throughout the galaxy. The rebels will be encouraged. Other worlds might join them. Cross understood. Earth's victory was about more than just one battle. It was about hope. For the first time in 3,000 years, the Empire looked vulnerable. Admiral, his communications officer said, we're receiving emergency transmissions from throughout the galaxy. Rebel attacks have increased by 300% in the last 6 hours. Cross felt a chill run down his spine. Earth's victory was inspiring rebellions across the galaxy. The Empire was facing a crisis unlike anything in its history. Sir, his tactical officer said, the Earth fleet is moving into attack position. Decision time. Cross looked at the tactical display one last time. His remaining ships were surrounded and outgunned. The quantum interdiction field made escape impossible. He could fight and die, or surrender and live with the shame. Open a channel to Admiral Sullivan, he ordered. Kate Sullivan's face appeared on the screen. Have you made your decision, Admiral Cross? The Third Imperial Fleet surrenders, Cross said, the words feeling like poison in his mouth. We accept. Your terms, Kate nodded solemnly. Order your ships to power down weapons and prepare for inspection. Any ship that tries to fight will be destroyed. Understood, Cross replied. He turned to his communications officer. Send the surrender order to all ships. Throughout the solar system, Imperial warships powered down their weapons one by one. It was the most humiliating moment in the Empire's 3,000-year history. But on Earth, people celebrated in the streets. They had faced the mightiest empire in the galaxy and won. Children who had been evacuated to safety were coming home. Families were reunited. In the command center of the Earth Defense Station, Admiral Kate Sullivan allowed herself a moment of quiet satisfaction. Dr. Carol White approached her with a smile. The interdiction field is holding perfectly, Carol reported. We can keep the Imperial fleet trapped here as long as we want. Good, Kate replied. Because we're not letting them go until they sign a formal treaty. 3 days later, Admiral. Cross sat in the same meeting room on Ceres base where the negotiations had first failed. This time, Captain Amy Rodriguez held all the cards. The treaty is simple, Amy explained. The Empire recognizes Earth as a sovereign world. The hyperspace route through Sol is close to Imperial military traffic. All peaceful ships are welcome, but conquerors are not allowed. Cross read through the document carefully. The Emperor will never accept this. The Emperor isn't here, Amy replied. You are. And your choice is simple. Sign the treaty or watch your remaining ships be destroyed one by one. Cross picked up the signing stylus. His hand shook slightly as he prepared to make history. For the record, he said, I am signing this under duress. For the record, Amy replied, we don't care. Cross signed his name to the treaty. It was the first time in 3,000 years that the Galactic Empire had been forced to negotiate as an equal. Within hours, news of the treaty spread across the galaxy. On rebel worlds, freedom fighters celebrated in the streets. On Imperial worlds, people whispered in amazement that someone had finally stood up to the Empire, not the Emperor. When he finally learned of the defeat, was consumed with rage. He stripped Admiral Cross of his rank and declared him a traitor. But the damage was done. The Empire's reputation for invincibility was shattered. Young pilot Kevin Martinez returned home to find his sister, Lucy, waiting for him at the spaceport. They hugged each other tightly as crowds cheered around them. "Is it really over?" Lucy asked. "This part is," Kevin replied. "But something bigger is just beginning." He was right. Earth's victory had sparked a galaxy-wide rebellion against Imperial rule. Dozens of worlds declared independence. The Empire found itself fighting on hundreds of fronts instead of just one. But Earth remained safe. The hyperspace route through Sol was now protected by the most advanced defensive network in the galaxy. Any ship that approached with hostile intent would face the same fate as Admiral Cross's fleet, Admiral Kate. Sullivan stood on the observation deck of the Earth Defense Station, watching the blue planet turn slowly below. The war was far from over, but Earth had won something precious, the right to determine its own destiny. Admiral, Lieutenant Sam Harker, approached with a message pad. "We're receiving requests for military assistance from 12 rebel worlds. They want to know if Earth will help them fight the Empire." Kate considered the request carefully. Earth had proven that the Empire could be beaten, but was it ready to lead a galactic war? "Tell them we'll consider it," she said finally. "But first, we need to make sure our own defenses are perfect. The Empire will try again someday." "Yes, Admiral," Sam replied. "And when they do?" Kate smiled grimly. "When they do, they'll learn. The same lesson again. Some roads are not for conquerors. Some worlds will not submit. And some peoples will fight for their freedom, no matter what the odds." The Galactic Empire had tried to pass through Earth space without permission. They had learned, at great cost, that Earth would not allow it. The message echoed across the galaxy, carried by rebel broadcasts and whispered in underground meetings. The Empire can be beaten. Earth showed us how. The age of Imperial domination was ending. The age of freedom was beginning. And it all started with a simple message from a small blue planet. "Not allowed."